Good morning, guys. All right, so this is a brand new video series that we're going to do, and my name is Carrie Carpenter. I'm a health and wellness coach, and this is my good friend Lenae, Dr. Lenae VanWagnen, and we are here to open up a conversation about creating healthier families. That's really the goal here. But Lenae is a pediatrician, and we're in Jackson, Michigan-ish. I'm a little bit close to there, but and so one of the things that I feel very passionately about is I really was a overweight kid, and I have shared this in my story so many times, but I have a passion for helping families overcome some of that because some of the things that happened in my childhood absolutely carried over to my adulthood. It has just been kind of a progress, and now I'm having to work to overcome it. Had I been given some awesome tools in the beginning, my parents tried, don't get me wrong, but things can, sorry, I should have hit that. Things can just down and spiral really quickly. So we hope by creating a conversation and opening up a floor for a conversation, and as you guys watch this on the recording, feel free to leave in the comments anything that you would like to discuss here. This is an open forum, and we would love to have you share your perspective, perceptions, that sort of thing. So anyway, I'm going to start by asking Lenae just to tell us a little bit about her story with you guys, so you kind of have an idea of who she is. One of my favorite people in the world. So your turn, go for it.
Hi, let's see, I graduated from, I'm old enough to be around a while. I've practiced medicine since 2000. I became a pediatrician then, and I'm currently in my 14th year here in Jackson, Michigan. I started at University of Michigan for my undergrad, and I graduated from Michigan State University in 2000.
So she's a Wolverine and a Spartan.
That's right. But when it comes to Saturday football, I go blue.
That's right. All right, awesome. So you're also a mom.
I am a mom. I have 3 children at home, 3 girls, a 15-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 6-year-old. And they keep me running for my money, that's for sure.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that I thought Lenae would be a great fit for this conversation is her girls are all really active. They're creating a lifestyle as a family. Not just, making the kids be active. They're really active, especially her husband's also a physician, and you can imagine the lifestyle that they live is busy. There's a lot of options for excuses, and one of my favorite things to watch is them as a family collectively really focus on wellness. Not too much, not too little, just a really healthy balance that I know you guys all work really hard for. So I feel like she has so much to offer on both ends. So healthy families is the goal here. All right, so one of the things that we wanted to preface this with is the idea that we're not just talking about kids who are obese, we're not just talking about kids who are overweight, but we're talking about just health in general in kids. And you can see it in our culture. I'm going to ask Lenae to share some things that she sees in her practice in a second, but I can see it, just as a mom and a person and a personal experience, it has almost gotten worse. When I was a little kid, I was definitely the fat kid, like I said. However, I think had I been a child in today's society and had the exact same scenario where I was then, I would have been average. And so I think that the obesity issue has gotten bigger. But again, this isn't just about obesity in kids because it could look different just like adults. So one of the things when I talked to Lenae about this initially that I'm going to ask you to share about was what are some of the things that you confront in your practice, with families, families come in and you see happen. What does that look like?
Sure. Well, one of the things that we really try hard to do is to get parents to recognize health. And whether a child is obese or a child is not obese, you still need to talk to them about being healthy. And it's difficult when you have a parent come in and you say, gosh, she grew 2 inches, but she's 20 pounds heavier than she was last year. A lot of times parents can actually sort of be defensive about that, and it's difficult to bridge that conversation as to how can we make this child healthier. But by even addressing it, you're almost sort of telling them that they're a bad parent. But in reality, it's kind of everywhere. And by that I mean like Halloween. Everywhere you go, there's candy. Everywhere you go, there's candy. Yeah, and not only do you have trunk or treats, but you have trick or treats, and you have parties at school, and there's candy all over the place. Grandparents are a big one. I love grandparents. They're all very well-meaning, but if you go to grandma's house, maybe there's an extra piece of cake there, or some extra cookies, or some candy. Why do we have to have birthday cakes and birthday parties? I mean, can you imagine being a mom without a birthday cake and your child's birthday party? What an awful parent you would be, right? But no, in reality, it's kind of all backwards. So I find that usually when I have a child comes in that I'm concerned about their weight, we talk to the parents gently the first time. Sort of say, gosh, we had a lot of weight gain. Is there anything that you think you might be able to change? Let's be real careful about this. So probably some of the big things we talk about are pop, juice. A lot of people think juice is a healthy food, but in reality, it's got a lot of sugar in it, very little nutrition. And then usually they come back the next year and not much has changed. We sort of address the idea and the child continues to have poor health eating habits. Maybe they've done a few things like try to join a sports team or try to incorporate more fruits and vegetables in their diet. And so we gently sort of readdress it and talk about it again. Come up with some other things. What sort of things could you do on Friday nights instead of pizza night every Friday night? How about, one piece of pizza instead of 3? Maybe some salad before we eat our pizza. But those are really some of the common things that I run into. Usually by the 3rd visit, the parents have sort of seen, gosh, yeah, she gained 30 pounds the last year. I mean, and Carrie, it's really sad when I have a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old comes into my office who weighs more than me. And although I don't want the number to be the issue, I really want health to be the issue. But when I see those numbers, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Because that child isn't being taught or isn't being exposed to the way of living that's going to give them longevity and a good, healthy lifestyle.
Kind of going back to one of the things I said in the beginning, some of those things I took from childhood into adulthood that just exacerbated as an adult. Mm-hmm. Like not only, cholesterol issues, weight issues, cardiovascular issues, like all the things that you worry about, is there anything I'm missing there? Like things that you worry about long term?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Diabetes is huge in our society. And diabetes, the implications, everybody thinks about, insulin shots and, nobody wants to get a shot every day. Absolutely not. Nobody wants to do that. But there are also other forms of diabetes that are insulin. They're slow, they creep up, and before you know it, you've got heart disease, you've got kidney disease, you've got strokes. And this sort of stuff is happening younger and younger ages in our society.
Mm-hmm. Makes perfect sense. So one of the things that I worry about too, that, from a personal story is I took self-confidence issues. Like I was really one of the blessed people who didn't have cholesterol issues. Like I was a healthy, super obese person. Healthy. Yeah, mm-hmm. Right. Like it's just kind of deceiving. Sure. Like my numbers weren't, but the confidence that I felt, and I gotta believe, that kids that are carrying around some of those unhealthy behaviors and habits, like their energy levels are probably zapped just like us adults. And, as you were talking about so many of those things, I just feel like it is so important for all of us to start in the home, because it will carry through to adulthood. And another thing that kept coming up for me as I was listening to you talk is the compound effect, which is something I didn't learn until I was an adult. So compound effect is the idea that little by little, a little becomes a lot. And you were saying, kind of like you mentioned with diabetes and cholesterol, like it kind of slides in, like you don't realize how little by little it's becoming a lot. And it happens over time, but just the same as like on the negative scale, compound effect can happen. It happens on a positive scale. Like little changes are huge. They quickly become very, very big things. Like you mentioned, maybe one piece of pizza and a salad versus, so you're getting higher nutrient value, lower calorie options, and they're going to feel better about themselves. You know what that feels like to walk into a room and feel really good about yourself, or feel like, oh my gosh, everybody's looking at me. Like,
well, and they recognize that, and the children like to make the changes. When we talk, we sort of say, what kind of things could you do differently at home? And they'll talk about, oh gosh, maybe I don't need to have chips with every time I go to lunch. Don't get me started on school lunches. There are some schools that are really working hard at making their school lunches better, but some schools haven't gotten there yet, and that can be a challenge too. So it's a matter of, the one thing I just want to make sure I iterate is that, health isn't necessarily the number on the scale. And I can have really, normal size weight patients come in to see me, and still talk to them about eating their fruits and vegetables.
For sure.
I can't tell you how many kids will say, ew, I don't do broccoli. And then I'll say to them, well, when's the last time you had broccoli? And if they can't remember, then it's time to try broccoli again.
Yep, perfect. Okay, awesome. That sounds like a great place to stop. We want these videos to be something that you can kind of walk along on your day and listen to maybe. So we're going to wrap it up with a 10-minute video, and then we'll come back with a couple of more and create it into a series. So thanks, guys. Have a good day.